Good morning. Happy Friday. We're on lesson 10 today, and I'm going to start with 2 deep breaths and a prayer. Dear God, please grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Please help us to set aside everything we think we know for an open mind and a new experience with all things, but especially this lesson right now. Thank you, God. Amen. So lesson 10, my thoughts do not mean anything. This idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware or become aware of in the practice periods. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before and will do so again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything. This is the second time we have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts. And no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality in what you think that you think. This aspect of the correction process begins with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stressed their past rather than their present status. Now we are emphasizing that the presence of these thoughts mean that you are not thinking. I really like that. The presence of these thoughts means that you are not thinking. It's my ego, it's not reality. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really blank. Phew, I needed this today. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness when you think you see it. As such, it is the prerequisite for vision. Close your eyes for these exercises and introduce them by repeating the idea for today quite slowly to yourself. And then add, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. These exercises consist, as before, in searching with your mind for all the thoughts that are available to you, without selection or judgment. To avoid classification of any kind, try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to do so, you might imagine that you are watching an oddly assorted procession going by, which has little if any, personal meaning to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, my thought about blank does not mean anything. My thought about blank does not mean anything. I can make this personal to me, of course, as you know, I've been in a lot of guilt the past 2 days. I accepted another job and they were desperate, so I didn't give notice, and I used the excuse, well, I'm just right after my 90 days, but the reality of it is I don't feel good about it, and you know, my thought about not giving notice does not mean anything, because I've been racked in guilt, and it's not a good way to start a new job or end the other job. Quite honest, my thought about being tired of all of this does not mean anything. My thought about judgment about my past job does not mean anything. My thought about career and jobs does not mean anything. And it's not an excuse to just let it go. It's just that I give it so much power. And I used to think, oh my gosh, it's just an excuse to justify, myself. And it's really not. It's choosing peace instead of that. And I don't have to do this again. I don't have to, I can insist next time if this ever happens again. Oh no. But I can insist, on giving 2 weeks notice and, say I'm sure you would want the same treatment. I was just up at my 90 days. I think I was 2 business days past it. And so I used that. And honestly, I didn't want to, to be honest, in that new job, that was just an excuse. I really didn't want to. It's been a rough 3 months. So I really did not want to give notice and have to go through 2 more weeks, quite honestly, too. So it was an excuse to get out of there. It's been beating me up. Anyway, my thought, and it's not an excuse to be okay with it. What it is choosing peace instead of choosing love, the reality, instead of um, guilt and ego thoughts and fear, fear with that big old stick and just and I don't have to do this again. I can learn a lesson from what I'm feeling here, and I don't want that. I don't want that. And yes, it is. It's just a change of thought, but it just keeps sneaking back in, and I don't want to go through this again. So next time, I can do what my heart says and do what I feel is the right thing instead of taking the easier, softer way, which I really think which I did do, and I used the new job as an excuse to do that. So I see that, and I don't have to do it again because it's hell walking through it. It really is. But my thought about all of that does not mean anything because I can choose peace, I can choose love, and I don't have to choose this dream. I didn't do it maliciously. I did it. I did it out of fear of having to suit up and show up somewhere where I wasn't happy. So I did it out of fear of not wanting to disappoint this new employer, which by all observances, it's going to be a very serene move and different, totally different. It's not going to feed my ego like the other job did. It's going to be, just a lot of differences as far as that goes, but it's going to be better for my peace of mind. So I'm excited about it. Today's thought can obviously serve for any thought that distresses you at any time. In addition, 5 practice periods are recommended, each involving no more than a minute or so of mind searching. It is not recommended that this time period be extended, and it should be reduced to half a minute or less if you experience discomfort. Remember, however, to repeat the idea slowly before applying it specifically, and also to add, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. This idea will help me to release me from all that I now believe. I could add my thoughts about my kids, my thoughts about my shoes, my thoughts about my dress. I was sitting there focusing on something that I'm moving through right now, but it needs to be indiscriminate. And my thoughts about my car. I got an fender bender the other day. My thoughts around that, because I haven't heard from them yet, so I don't know what's going on. My thoughts about money, because I get really weird about money. I just kind of get paralyzed around money. It's strange. And that's, my thoughts about everything. My thoughts about Rita's frozen custard, my thoughts about my weight and my body, my thoughts about aging, getting older. My thoughts, it's great because I really see, I see that I've changed and I've been releasing the fear, a lot of fear that I've experienced in the past around things that used to scare the crap out of me aren't scaring the crap out of me today. And I can go forward in love and try to be a conduit. And that's huge for me. And I'm not attached to checking it and seeing what's going on. Or, it's not, it's me like putting these videos out. I just put them out and let it go. And oh my gosh, I never would have done that in the past. Whoever sees it sees it. It's not a bad thing. It's to me, I'm trying to extend love, and then I let it go. I don't try to follow them. I don't try to look and see if anybody's watching them. I actually try to stay detached from that because to me that's my ego, and this is not. I truly want to be a conduit of love and hopefully help be a teacher in the way that God would have me, and it's out of my hands. I'm just doing what I'm inspired to do and letting go. And it's a beautiful thing, and I've never been at this place before, so I'm very grateful. Okay, 2 deep breaths, a prayer out. I love you. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you for being here. So here we go. Dear Father, if left to my own devices, my perceptions will be skewed. Help me to remember that my thoughts do not mean anything. Help me not to judge them, God. Help me to be a conduit of love and light in this world. Help me to be who you would have me be, do what you would have me do, go where you would have me go, and say what you would have me say, dear God. God, I thank you for my many, many blessings without judging them as good or bad. I thank you for my experiences that lead me to forgiveness of myself, projected. God, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, I love you. Amen. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.